tearful mother arrives at Philadelphia airport. Keldy Gonzalez-Brebe hasn't seen her children for nearly 4 years. They were taken from her at the US border in 2017, victims of Donald Trump's family separation policy.
Yo siempre, ¿verdad, John, le decía a usted que yo sentí esa fe que yo iba a estar aquí con mis hijos?
Sí, siempre me lo han dicho, sí.
Now, a new US government is trying to put more than 1,000 separated families back together. Keldy is one of the first parents they've brought back to America.
Yo quiero decir bendición que los amo. ¡Ay, los
This is the rarest thing in my experience as a journalist. A truly happy ending.
Ay, te amo, mi negrito bello. Te amo. Aquí estoy, mi muñeco.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations, you are home. I'm beginning Keldy's story at the end so that you know their ordeal is over.
Wanted to be here to see this first reunification. You know, I don't know how many I'll be able to get to of the 1,000 we're trying to get back. You know, I've been doing this work for 30 years at the ACLU. This is by far the worst immigration practice I have ever seen, and by a long shot.
The border city of Ciudad Juarez is an unlikely place to seek refuge from violence. Whole neighborhoods lie abandoned after residents fled during the savage cartel wars of the past 15 years. In late April, we found Keldy living here in a single room. Her Bible open, her luggage ready, waiting, living through her phone.
¿Cómo están mis muchachitos preciosos?
Bien, usted.
Bien, bien.
Ya tiempo lloro por las noches, angustiada y casi a gritos pidiendo abrazar a mis hijos. 4 años son 4 años. Son 4 años donde yo he estado en pura oración para poder ver a mis hijos de nuevo.
Her friend Anna is driving Keldy to the dentist. Given hope by the change of government in the US, she's preparing for the possibility of reunion. She made this appointment to have her teeth cleaned.
Yo salí de mi país en busca de una protección, y cuando le decimos protección es como cuando una persona se encuentra enferma y que busca la medicina, pero que en vez de hallar la medicina más bien haya más dolor. más dolor y así sentí. Sentí como que me mataban en vida cuando me arrancaron a mis hijos.
During these years, Keldy had a powerful ally in the US. The American Civil Liberties Union.
The judge, in a nutshell, saw through
And
what
its
the
immigration lawyer, Lee Gallant.
wanted. President could not override the courts.
He led the legal challenges against the Trump family separation policy, which swept up Keldy and her children.
She is one of the first cases that were documented, and we now know that more than 5,500 children were separated, hundreds of whom were just babies and toddlers. We also now know that the Trump administration had asked about budgeting for possibly 26,000 children to be separated.
Migration over the Mexican border was Donald Trump's most potent issue.
ICE is throwing them out of our country by the thousands. I am afraid for my life. I am afraid to go back to my country. I want to be an American. We don't want them in our country, and they're not getting into our country. And when they have, we're throwing them the hell out. They're out.
We now know that from his first days in office, Trump had advisors working on a secret plan to separate families at the border.
You know, we're still trying to figure out how early the Trump administration was planning to take children away. We know that by 6 months, they had already had a pilot program up and running. We're still trying to find out whether right away, when he took office, he was taking children away, which means that they planned it even before he came into office.
Gloria a Dios, aleluya, gloria a Dios. Dios bendiga su vida, Dios bendiga sus vidas en el nombre de
Before she fled Honduras, Keldy was a preacher, a shepherdess in her evangelical church.
grande y poderosamente, Dios.
From her room in Ciudad Juarez, she made regular online sermons to her flock.
Que un día me decir la promesa que Dios me ha dado. Yo no voy a cansarme ni me voy a rendir.
She was convinced her God would intervene to save her.
Yo te voy a pasar por la puerta grande. Y así lo creí, que por la puerta grande iba a pasar, que es por el paso norte.
En el nombre de Jesús, ti, Padre, por tu presencia, irán, Padre, conducidos a buscar, Padre, sus caminos.
In 2017, Keldy and her family fled on that path north, leaving behind memories of another life. They traveled from Honduras through Guatemala to southern Mexico, then north to the border town of Puerto Palomas. On September the 20th, with a paid guide known as a coyote, Keldy and 2 of her sons crossed the border into New Mexico and surrendered to a border patrol.
Honduras. Passports or documents, come through, please. Come through.
Keldy pled for asylum, but the US immigration officials were under orders from a very different higher power, President Donald Trump.
Y cuando nos dicen, usted va para Luna County, que era una prisión, por 5 días, y sus hijos van para un albergue, y después los vamos a volver a reunir. Fue una mentira que a todas y a todos, padres y madres, nos dieron.
What was your last memory of the boys, that last view of them? What did you see?
La última vez que yo los miré fue eso, de donde los separaron. Y esa escena está muy, muy triste. Porque desde ahí perdí muchas cosas de ver a mis hijos. Porque era el tiempo que venía de su adolescencia y no pude estar con ellos. Fueron 4 años desde ahí.
Keldy was with her two youngest sons, 15-year-old Mino and his 13-year-old brother, Eric. Go back to the separation, if you would.
Empezaron a tomarme de mi cintura y a gritar llorando. Y me decían, no mamá, y yo no podía hacer nada. Cuando mis hijos escucharon que los iban a separar, uno de ellos, Mino, gritó así, mejor no los hubiéramos venido de Honduras, allá los hubiéramos quedado aunque los asesinaran o los hicieran daño, si hubiéramos sabido que los iban a hacer este daño tan cruel, dijo mi hijo, de quitarlo a mi mamá.
In the tough Philadelphia neighborhood of Kensington, we found the house where Keldy's mother had been looking after her sons.
Hello.
Amanda is also caring for 6-year-old Dana, Keldy's adopted intellectually disabled daughter. The old woman brought Dana across the border in 2017.
No sabe Dios, solo Dios sabe cómo espero mi hija y yo. Va a ser a saber qué haremos cuando ella llegue. Es un rompecabezas grande A ver que nos hemos desligado todas. El esposo está por allá, nosotros por acá, ella por allá. Eso no es.
In all the family's suffering, Amanda is most worried about Mino.
Y le pegó una depresión. Él está sufriendo mucho. Todos están sufriendo. Pero él más, porque le da depresión. Él llora, a veces no quiere comer.
Mino was a boy when he last saw his mother. Now he's a young man and works with his brother Alex.
Aquí no tengo amigos, no muchos. Y no tengo a mi mamá tampoco. Entonces solo me queda trabajar.
His memory of the separation is vivid.
Nos dijeron que los iban a separar de ella porque les rogué a los de inmigración para que me dejaran libre con ella. Pero me dijeron que no se podía hacer nada, que me la tenían que llevar, que me tenían que separar de ella. Y yo le dije que mejor nos deportaran para México, pero que no me separaran de mi mamá. Y me dijeron que no podían hacer eso y que que me tenía que despedir de ella. Y cuando nos llevaron ya para una detención, si le llaman la hielera, pero es para niños, yo le dije a mi hermano que parara de llorar, porque él se estaba riendo, entonces no quise como dar más lástima. Y lo peor que tenía frío, no teníamos cobija ahí, no teníamos. Solo nos habían dado un colchón, pero no teníamos nada con qué arroparnos y él estaba llorando ahí.
Keldy's eldest son, Alex, crossed the border alone and made his way to Philadelphia to be with his brothers.
Siempre estaban tristes porque no estaban con mi mamá. Y pues entonces yo tuve que venirme. Y tuve que venirme aquí para estar con ellos, cuidarlos y pues siempre darles, aconsejarlos como un hermano mayor. Primero vivíamos con una tía y luego cuando mi hermano mayor llegó acá, vivimos con él y con mi abuela.
Eric was only 13 when his mother was taken away.
Nosotros pensábamos que la iban a liberar rápido. Cuando al día siguiente cambiaron de opinión y que a nuestra madre le iban a llevar a una prisión para mayores de inmigración. Y a nosotros nos iban a poner en una casa de hogar.
Bastante desde que me separaba de mi hija. Cuando estaba sin ellos, para mí era un tormento, un dolor. Para mí ha sido triste todo esto porque yo tuve la muerte de 4 hijos, por eso nosotros le venimos para acá. Porque a ella la querían matar, a todos, bueno, querían matar por último. Y anduvimos huyendo a un lugar, en otro lugar.
In Honduras, Keldy's family was plagued by violence. In 6 years, 4 of her brothers and a sister-in-law were murdered. Then she and her immediate family were targeted.
Tuvimos que, cuando ya nos dijeron de que los iban a quemar vivos, que iban a quemar nuestra casa, que la iban a quemar con mis hijos y todo, y ahí combustible y todo, y solo con la ropa puesta, porque ya lo que ellos iban a hacer ya era algo muy fuerte.
To learn more about Keldy's story, we've come to the place she fled, Honduras. Each morning in San Pedro Sula, as regular as sunrise, they find the bodies. Warring gangs control many of the city's neighborhoods. This hill is an MS-13 stronghold. A rival gangster was decapitated during the night. Local kids are unfazed. The morning's second murder site is at Rio Blanquito, the Little White River, another MS-13 neighborhood. This 21-year-old made the fatal mistake of straying into their territory. He came to see his girlfriend last night, and they shot him 5 times. His brother limps up the path to identify him. The absolute degradation caused by gang warfare in this area is obvious to see. Another young man dead on the ground after a violent night. It's also obvious why people here would seek to flee from this trauma and seek refuge elsewhere. I'm very sorry about what happened to your brother first. The victim's brother is too afraid to show his face.
Sangre, usted sabe, mi hermano, pues, y es el hermano menor mío y el que más quiero de todo, pues.
Did they kill him because he was in another gang?
No, mi hermano nunca anduvo metido en problemas de pandillas, malas, nunca anduvo metido en eso. Él...
In such a violent country, the death of a brother is commonplace. The threats to kill Keldy began after she testified against the 3 men who murdered Oscar, the 4th of her brothers to be killed. Did you ever think it would be better to go back to Honduras?
No, es que teníamos miedo de regresar a Honduras. Ya en Honduras no tenemos vida.
What is it that makes that impossible?
La persecución que había en contra. por haber sido y sigo, ¿verdad?, como testigo protegido, porque tuve que desmantelar una banda de sicarios que asesinaron a uno de mis familiares. Porque en Honduras, por miedo, nadie hace nada. Dejan que le asesinen sus familiares y no hacen nada. Y tuve que denunciarlos al grado que los acusaron y están detenidos 3 de ellos.
In this most violent of Honduran cities, police today have arrested 2 MS-13 hitmen. Testifying against the gangs like Keldy did is extremely risky.
Ellos se aprovechan del miedo de la población. Entre más miedo tiene la población, te voy a robar, te voy a asaltar, pero si denuncias a la policía, vengo por vos, vengo por otros familiares tuyos.
The National Police agreed to help us find details of her brother's murder. Yeah, that was it. That was Oscar Bareve. Yeah, that's him. 3 men were convicted for killing Oscar and sentenced to 17 years jail.
They don't have a lot of details here.
That year, 2012, was an astonishingly murderous one in Honduras. There were 7,176 homicides as the gangs consolidated their control of territory. Another document confirms that prosecutors made Keldy a protected witness when threats to kill her escalated after the men were convicted. We head north, far from the big cities, to Keldy's hometown. Before they were forced to abandon it, their family home was close to the Caribbean coast and the resort town of La Ceiba. It's a lucrative market for tourism and gangsters. The barrios on the outskirts of La Ceiba are not for tourists. Is it safe?
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
In this area, it's very dangerous. Fighting for territory, you know, for drugs. Last month, killed in this area 1 boy.
Right.
11 o'clock morning, killed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why?
Fighting for territory.
Humble house, my children.
This neighborhood is very close to where Keldy's brother Oscar was murdered.
Brother to Sister Keldy killed in this area and then persecuted, you know, to Sister Keldy. Bad situation.
Pastor Isaias was Keldy's spiritual mentor.
Sister Keldy, she's a good pastor. She has passion, you know, to the preach. She has the passion, you know, for winning the soul, you know, for the kingdom of God. Yeah.
On Sunday morning, the souls arrive at Pastor Isaias's evangelical Moravian church, ready to be saved.
Tú estás en los planes perfectos de Dios. Por eso se levantaron los vientos para destruirte tu vida, pero aquí estás en esta mañana, sentados, presentes a la casa de Dios, porque hay un propósito de parte de Dios para tu vida. A su nombre, a su nombre.
It's here that Keldy converted to Christianity after her brother's murder. She found God, she says, and lost her fear. There's something hypnotic and wild in this Caribbean-inspired evangelism. It seems like a momentary escape from the danger and poverty outside.
Yo veo una enfermedad saliendo de ella. Quiste se va, Jehová. Hoy se disipa, se deshace todo quiste. El ovario se va, dolencia se va. Jehová, en el nombre de Jesús de Nazaret, hoy se va.
This was Keldy's world before her enemies came searching for her.
Some people I know, yes, for looking where is she, you know, for asking, you know. But we don't say nothing, you know, very quiet, you know.
Who came?
People, bad people, you know, bad people, gangs, you know.
Looking for Keldy?
Some, yes, but we don't say nothing.
Isaiah says that after Keldy testified at the murder trial, it was too dangerous for her to stay here.
Very dangerous. And, you know, in Honduras, or in La Ceiba, out of Honduras, a lot of people is killed, you know. Many people come out from jail, but they revenge, you know. Oh, you put me in jail, or your family, your brother, or your sister put me in jail. Now I want to revenge.
How far is it now? A short drive from the church is the Barrio Israel colony, where Keldy's brother Oscar lived. This place was dangerous in 2012, and it's still very dangerous now. It's completely under control of the MS-13 gang who work with drug traffickers. It's so dangerous that we can't get out of the car, and we were told that we need to pull down our windows so that people can see us and know that we're not from another gang. One road in and out. No one comes here without the gang knowing.
This is exactly the place where the crime happened, in this street, in the middle of these two houses. Yeah, right here.
Keldy has one brother still living in Honduras. Danilo insisted we meet him at a remote location far from La Ceiba. Ever since the murder of his brother Oscar, he says a threat has hung over every member of the family. Danilo only trusts those he calls his black brothers, the local Garifuna people. The Caribbean coast of Honduras is a transshipment point for cocaine from Colombia. That's why the gangs are so strong and so ruthless. Danilo takes us far from where anyone will recognize him.
Because I'm a Oscar brother, I'm a Keldy brother. My face and the Keldy face is similar. One guy here say, I can set the face, I can put in 3 bullets in the hair. Si yo lo veo su cara, yo pongo 3 balas en su cabeza.
Danilo works as a tourist guide. It's only here he feels safe, prepared to talk about his brother's murder.
Some people killed my brother like a dog. Mi hermano lo mataron por nada. Quererse apropiar de una propiedad que tenía. 4 guys killed my brother. It's smashed to the hair, to the rock.
Smashed his head with a rock.
The rock, yeah.
What kind of people killed him?
I like MS-13 people. Somebody paid for these people.
So these are hired, paid to kill him?
To kill him. Paid to kill him.
He says Keldy will never be forgiven for making sure the killers were punished.
Keldy giving information to the police, for the one guy go straight to do 30 years in the prison. His family be angry to Keldy and my family. Keldy come to La Ceiba, is 100% somebody killed.
Much of what we've learnt about Keldy's fear for her life was available to the US immigration judge who ordered her deported back to Honduras. That judge is known to reject 90% of asylum cases. Every afternoon of her long exile in Ciudad Juarez, Keldy takes a walk to the border gate to ask for divine intervention to allow her to pass through to America.
Me dice, me indica, Padre, yo declaro que tú, mi Dios, haces las cosas en Cristo. Presencia, tu mover, Padre, en lo sobrenatural. Venimos, Padre, declarando, poderoso Dios, que tu manifestación grande y poderosa. Padre, gracias, Hijo, y gracias, Espíritu Santo. Amén y amén.
On April the 26th, Keldy heard the ping of a phone message through her shouted prayers.
Lo que están diciendo ya los representantes del gobierno es que quieren saber en anticipación 7 días antes cuando usted se quiere presentar. Entonces, lo que le estamos diciendo ahorita es que usted se va a presentar el martes, ya que sería 7 días. Yo la voy a esperar en el lado mexicano, en Ciudad Juárez, para caminar con usted, para estar segura que no va a...
Y gracias, gracias, gracias. Gracias. Por fin voy a ver a mis hijos.
This family's reunion marked the end of a dark experiment that challenged America's idea of itself.
To the extent there was any silver lining, it was that the American public said, wait, enough is enough. And it transcended ideological lines in a way that I have never seen.
But for the rarest moment, what mattered most was a mother's love and the simple humanity of ordinary people.